and let me share my screen. Okay, so if you observe, okay, so the same documentation which I have said yesterday, okay, they have updated yesterday. If you see here, okay, so November 20, November 2nd, 2021. Okay, and they have added one more extra development environment called Azure PowerShell. Okay, now we can try with using PowerShell also. Okay, so see, you could see how we can, create a web app, okay, by using the PowerShell commands, and how we can, deploy and everything you could see. But for now, let's say I'll go to my Visual Studio Code itself, and I wanted to test it in my local virtual machine only. This is the VM which I have created. Let me log into the VM. I'll say RDP. Okay, so let me try to log in with the other user account called Azure user. Okay, so I'm done with the login to the VM. So now let me go to this document. I'll do one thing. Okay, I'll copy this URL. I'll go through with the within a VM itself. I'll open my Chrome here. So better, on your local system, you might not be having some required dependencies or some things. Better, I would recommend you to create a VM and try to do it, okay, everything within a VM. Okay, so on my local system, .NET is installed, but it is the wrong path. Fine, leave it. Okay, let me go to the VM here and let me that URL here. Okay, this is the one. Okay, deploying a ASP sample.NET application on top of web app. So here, okay, I'm following the Visual Studio, and as part of this, okay, we have installed all of this particular setup. So if I go to my C drive here, so when I install this particular developer pack, okay, I should be having a separate .NET folder. Let me go ahead and validate here. If I go back to the program files, if not program files, okay, it will be somewhere in a program files 86. And let me go to the Microsoft SDKs. Okay, so they might have changed the path. Okay, let me try it here. Okay. Yeah, I'm going with the Visual Studio Code, and I have installed this particular, retail account, Visual Studio, and Visual Studio tools also I have ready, I think. Okay, let me open my Visual Studio Code. Okay, and I have the tools also ready. So let me maximize this one, and I'm good with the prerequisites. So now, okay, so here, okay, now earlier, okay, we had something called 3.1 or something, right? So probably I think we are already done with this installing this particular .NET developer pack. So let's go with the creation of the web app now. So for that, okay, what I will do is I'll simply copy this command. I'll go to my VS Code. Before that, okay, let me create a sample folder here, and I'll try to open a VS Code in that particular folder. I'll just name it as a app service. Okay, and let me try to open the VS Code within the particular folder. And before that, okay, I'll close it. Okay, and let me maximize this one. So here, if you see, I just opened my VS Code in this specific folder called app service. So now let me take the terminal here. Okay, so let me try to execute the command. That is .NET new web app. Okay, so the framework is okay .NET 5.0, and let's see this. Okay, still we are facing the same issue, that term .NET is not recognized. Let's see the prerequisite. I'll go here. I'll try to install this particular SDK once again. So this is the SDK 5.0. I'll try to do it on my Windows machine. Okay, mine is 64-bit. Okay, let me try to open it. Okay, so I'm installing a .NET SDK. So here you could see it is installing this particular Microsoft.NET 5.0 version. And which is almost done. Yeah, so the installation was successful. Okay, let me close it. So now let's see. Okay, do I have anything changed here on my SDKs? If I go to my Microsoft SDKs, okay, here I should be having a .NET. Let me try to do refresh. Let's come back to the normal program files. Also, I don't see anything. Here you go. I'm looking for this particular folder called .NET. Okay, so under the program files, okay, you should have this particular SDK to be installed if at all if you wanted to work this particular .NET command. Okay, if you see here, okay, we just install this November 3rd, okay, 2021. This is the server time. Okay, so this particular SDK has to be present. Okay, here you could say .NET. If this particular .NET is present on your local system, so whenever you execute the command like this, okay, it will keep through the error. Okay, let me try to reopen this particular window. I'll go to my app service folder. I'll do right click and I'll say open with VS Code again. And let me quickly open my terminal here. I'll say new terminal and let me close this particular extra stuff. So now I'm done with installing this particular prerequisites. Okay, I think I can have it here itself. Okay, so these are the stuff I have done. So now I need to create a ASP.NET web app. Let me copy this command. I'll go here. I'll just simply paste it. Okay, and just click on enter. And if you see now, okay, this time, okay, it is working and it is generating a sample code, okay, for hosting my ASP.NET application. And you could see, okay, so it is successful now. Okay, the template ASP.NET Core web app was created successfully. Okay, so now to test it, okay, so I need to run it. Okay, let me copy this command. Okay, you could see here from the terminal in a Visual Studio Code, run the application locally using the .NET run command. So let me copy it. I'll go here and I'll say .NET run. Okay, let me click on enter. So now it will start building this particular solution. And once it is done, okay, we can able to test it also. Okay, here you could see it is started building. So if you wanted to test it, so open the browser and navigate to the app at this particular URL. So when I open this particular URL, that is localhost and it is running on a port number called 5001. Okay, this is the web page you will get. Okay, so let's see here. So which is still in progress. Meanwhile, I'll go to my browser and I'll just put that particular local host. Okay, sometimes okay you will get a connection is not private. You can go to the advanced, you can just proceed to the local host. And can you see now my application was built and okay I'm able to get the a sample welcome ASP.NET Core website. Okay, so which I have built now listening on this particular local host on a port number called 5001. Fine. Now I'm done with taking a sample code by installing the .NET SDK. It's a sample code, by the way, for hosting a sample any website, and I just built on my local system and I just tested it and it is working. So this particular code now I need to publish into my web app. Let's see how we can do it now. I'll go to my VS Code. So within my VS Code here, okay. So when you go to this Azure tools, okay. So here, okay. Yesterday we have seen right, log into the Azure portal. And before that, I think I need to start my service. So yesterday I have shut down my service. Okay, if I go to my web apps. So this is the web app, right? I have created for the ASP.NET one. Okay, so if you're not using it, okay, probably you can just stop it. Okay, for now I'll just start it. Okay, so if you're not using, you can just simply stop it just to avoid the extra cost. Now let me come back here. So on a VS Code, okay, when you install this particular Azure tools, you will be getting this options called another extension called Azure. So here you will be having an option to sign in. Okay, I'll use this particular browser to sign in. And here, okay, let me enter my credentials. Okay, now you could see you're signed in now and close this window. Okay, a little bit. I'll come back here. So if you see here at this moment, okay, I'm using this particular account. Hold on. It is giving Suresh test app. I think I'm not using this particular subscription at all. Let me see my subscription. My name of the subscription is Monopriya. Let's say I'll try to log out here and then log in back again. Let me do refresh. Okay, so by default, I think it has taken the different. Okay, so I need to select the subscription. Why is it showing only one subscription? I need to see now. Let's see. I do have any subscription called Bonu. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll log out from here, then I'll log in again. Okay, I'll say collapse all. This is for the creating a new web app. Probably on a comment letter only, we can go to the view. So within a view, okay, you have this particular option called comment letter. So here, okay, you could say, okay, Azure sign out. Okay, sign in, sign out option you can have. Okay, let me sign out from here first. Okay, I am done with the signing out. So probably let me sign in back again. I'll say sign into Azure again. This time it is open my window in a IE. So let me try to give my user account which I log in with. Since I have an access to the multiple subscriptions, okay, this is was the confusion I'm getting. If it is still getting the same, I'll try to log in with a different user account now. Let's see what is the account. It is still giving the same. So let me try to log out from this account. I'll go to the view. I'll go to the commentator again. And here I'll say Azure sign out back again. So now let me take a one account which I have created on my Active Directory. So wherein I have a similar access on the portal also for performing the deployment. I'll go to the users and I think I have created a user called Ramakrishna somewhere here. Let me take that user account. Ideally, it has to take my account also, but there I need to see how to change the additional stuff. Let's take this one. And I'll go here and I'll sign in with this user account. And that user should have minimum contributor access here. Okay, let me use another account. Append to refresh. Okay, I say use another account. So this is an account. Let's go to the next. Let me try to pass the password. I'll just skip for now. And I'm done with the login. And now, okay, I'm able to see my this particular web apps on this particular subscription. Good. So now let's see whether this user is having a access on the subscription or not. If not, okay, we'll be not able to perform the deployment. So I'll go here and let me go to the IAM. And this user must have minimum contributor access. Yeah, so he's a owner now. Cool. Okay, so now I log into the portal. Okay, so now I need to perform the deployment. So to do that, okay, so I can go to the view again. I can go to the commentator. Okay, so now I need to say Azure App Service. Okay, web app deployment. Okay, deploy to web app. So here I could see an option called deploy to web app. If you wanted to create a new web app, okay, you can create a new web app from here only. Okay, I'll say deploy to Azure web app. And this is the build, okay, which we currently have on a local system, right? Okay, so this is the path where I have created this app service. Okay, this entire code I wanted to select. Okay, so choose it, and the required configuration to deploy missing is app service. Add the configuration. Okay, so now I need to choose the web app. So this is the test 2413 is a web app, okay, which I wanted to deploy. I'll choose it. And are you sure you wanted to deploy to this particular web app? Yes, I'll say deploy. Okay, now we could see, okay, this particular entire code, okay, whatever I have built on my local system, I'm just simply publishing into my web app. Okay, and here you could see, okay, the complete end-to-end flow. Okay, if you wanted to see this, okay, you could see what is happening here. And if you wanted to validate it, you can go to your web app. Let me go back to my web app. So this is the test 2413 is my web app, and you can say browse it. So by default earlier, okay, we had sample Microsoft page, right? So now can you see now I'm able to get my sample ASP.NET code on my web app because I just hosted a sample ASP.NET website. So here you could see, okay, so which is still in progress, but I'm able to see the results already. Okay, so here you could see it is still showing the status as a deploying, but I'm already able to access my website and whatever the content I have deployed a sample, welcome to ASP.NET Core. Okay, if I go to the home page, okay, so I will be having nothing, but yes, here you could see the multiple pages also. Great. So let's see here. Let me come back, and I think it is done. Okay, here you could see terminal will be reused by task. Okay, press any key to close it. Okay, I'll say close. So it is done with the deployment. Here you could see the status is completed. Now let me make some changes. Okay, I'll go to the, this is the document you can go through how to publish it. So this is what I have already done. Okay, going to this commentator and publishing it. Okay, so signing into this and publishing the code into this. Okay, everything I have done. Now let me try to make some changes here. Okay, so can please be on mute. I think Ram Kumar. Yeah. Now, okay, so I'll update some content here on my code. Okay, so I need to open this particular index dot CSHTML, and within this index dot CSHTML, okay, I'll just simply replace this extra content and I'll try to redeploy it. Okay, I can just say copy here, or else I can just copy with this way also. I'll go to my code, and here I need to search for, let me go to the files here, and here I need to search for the CSHTML page. I think it should be not under the property. Let's see, under the www root CSS. No, not here. Let me go to the pages. Okay, this is the one, index.cshtml. Okay, it will be present under the pages. Okay, index.cshtml page. So here I need to replace this particular content. This I will be replacing with the extra content what I have copied, that is .NET love Azure something, some additional header I have mentioned here. So these changes I made it within a VS Code. Whenever you make some changes, right, if you wanted to make it okay auto save, you could just simply enable this particular auto save button. So now I did a auto save. So again I need to redeploy, right? So to do that, come back to this particular Azure web app. Okay, do right click, and here, so just simply say deploy to web app. Okay, I'll say deploy it. So now whatever the new changes I made, right, so those changes, okay, will be deployed into my web app. So we'll also validate it now. So which is almost done. If I go to my web app, so this was the earlier changes. Okay, I added some other content, and that should be displayed here now. So here you could see which is still refreshing. And can you see now? I have added a different header now, okay, which has a mention like a .NET Love Azure. Okay, this was the header. .NET Love Azure. Okay, so this is how we can create a sample code and how we can deploy a sample application on top of your web apps. And when you create a web app, you don't need to worry about your underlying hardware. Okay, so that will be taken care by the Microsoft, that we call it as a Azure App Service Plan. Okay, it is a kind of PaaS service majorly useful for the developers, wherein they don't need to worry about the and anything. So they can just simply develop the code and they can just simply deploy the code into this particular web app. Now let me discuss about some of the concepts, okay, within this web app. Okay, we are good with deploying the code. So I want you guys, okay, go through this one. And I think, okay, yesterday we got stuck with this particular installing this particular SDK. Okay, all right. So let's come back here. I'm good with hosting my web app. And now I'll wanted to quickly discuss about the one important topic called app service plan. So to run this particular web application, okay, we need to have an underlying computing power, network, and storage, right? So that is provided by this particular app service plan. Okay, when I go to this app service plan, so here you could see Azure app service plan. And if at all, if you wanted to increase, okay, so by default, okay, when we created a web app, it has chosen as a free tail one, that is F1. But if you wanted to, increase it, okay, that is scale up. Okay, so we need to come back to this particular settings, and here you could see the different sizes. So this is the size, okay, which we have taken, that is F1, okay, which has a minimal of 1 GB memory and 60 minutes per day compute power. So very minimal one. Okay, so which are for less demanding workloads called dev and test environments. Okay, and here you could see for each one, okay, you will be having some additional configurations. So this is coming with a custom domain. Custom domain is nothing but, let's say for example here, okay, I have this is the URL, right? So this URL I cannot give it to the customer. So instead that, okay, what I can do is I can create a one custom domain. Let's say, okay, let me try to open a notepad here. Okay, so let's say, so this is the let me copy this one again. So this is the URL, okay, I have now for my web app. So this I do not wanted to give it to my customer. So for that, okay, what I can do is, okay, I can create a one more new custom domain called AB, whatever the name you wanted, abcd.com. And while creating this domain, I can pass this URL as a CNAME. And whenever any user try to enter this particular URL, it will by default, okay, routes to this particular backend web app. Okay, so that is called custom domain. Okay. Yeah, here it is. So this feature is not present with this particular F1, but it is present with the D1 and B1. And we can also have a additional SSL certificates also. And these are like a majorly for the dev test. And when I go to the production one, okay, you will be having a lot more additional features. Okay, starting with the S1. Okay, here you could see we have a custom domain and Azure compute units, memory, and here you will be having 50 GB disk storage. And we have auto scale. Okay, we'll discuss about the auto scale, and we will discuss about the staging slots also. And taking up a backup of your application, okay, here, okay, which is possible with the only production ones. Okay, earlier, okay, when you go with the dev test one, you don't have any feature called backup. Okay, so within a production one, okay, have this backup, and we'll also discuss about the traffic manager later. And likewise, okay, when you keep changing this particular different sizes, okay, that is p1 v2 p2 v2 p3 v2, okay, this particular features will keep changing. Okay, so here, okay, you have 250 GB. Earlier, okay, with S1 I had only 50 GB. So likewise, okay, if I go with the p3 v3, right, so here I could see, okay, minimum. So this is the advantage. Okay, for now let me try to change it to the S1. Okay, I wanted to show you how to take a backup of your web app also, and I'll say apply it. Okay, scale up is nothing but, okay, so changing your app service plan. Okay, so now I change my web app service plan to F1 to S1. Okay, that is a production one. And we also have one more one that is called isolated one. Okay, that we call it as a app service environment. If at all, if you wanted to create your web app in a specific, network, okay, if you wanted to host our web app in a specific, network, okay, like a kind of private web app, we can go with this particular, app service environment. You can go with it. If you wanted to learn more, okay, you can go through the document here. So how to host a sample web app in a specific, dedicated network, and you could see the pricing and everything. So for now, okay, let's have a discussion on this particular one. Okay, that is, I just changed my app service plan to my production and I just applied it. So if I come back to my web app now, okay, so on an overview page, if I do refresh, I should be able to see the size of my web app changed to S1. Earlier it was only F1, that is free trial one. Okay, so now let me walk you through some of the things here. Okay, so you know about the activity log. So if you wanted to monitor some of the activities which are performed on this particular resource, you can come back and see it here. Just now we have deployed a sample ASP.NET application, right? You'll be able to see the logs related to that. Okay, which is still loading here. Okay, similarly, you can manage the IAM tags, and this is very important, okay, in case of the web apps. So diagnose and solve problem. So whenever, okay, if your application is not responding, okay, you can come back and do some troubleshooting. Okay, so it is also checking for the availability of your web application, that is your web app, and it will also check, we can also check the availability and performance of your web app. Okay, so that is the advantage of having this particular, diagnose and solve problem. So here you could see, okay, in terms of availability and success, okay, it is showing some critical things. Let me check it here. So here you could see again it is started scanning. Okay, so it is giving you complete, details. Okay, number of failed requests, our performance. Okay, so I'm able to get the response in 3 seconds. Okay, CPU usage and memory usage and everything. Okay, in detail you could see here. Okay, and an overview page. If you wanted to see and a step by step, okay, if you wanted to see something like a high CPU, how much it is utilizing, you can come back and see. If you wanted to see the memory utilization and analysis, you can just click on it and it will, uh, do the diagnosis in the back end. Okay, it will provide you the results. Okay, likewise, okay, if you have any issues, okay, if your application is crashes, okay, if there are any changes, okay, and what type of connectivities, okay, we are performing, everything you could see here. Okay, I want you to go through this each and every option step by step, and that is pretty much about the diagnose and solve problem. And when in the deployment, okay, this is more of related to the development activities. So from here also you can just deploy this type of web apps applications, I would say. So this is the one which we have deployed it. Okay, when I go to the ASP.NET, it will clearly give you the similar document. Okay, how you can host a ASP.NET application. Same way, if you wanted to host a Node.js app, okay, it will route to the Node.js app, page. Okay, how to deploy a Node.js application. Okay, I think they have given an option to deploy it using portal also. Crazy, great. So this is something about the deployment, and let's talk about the deployment slots now. So this deployment slots future, okay, will be available only with the production sizes, that is S1 SKU. Okay, earlier when we created app service plan with F1, that is free one, this deployment slots option will not be present. Okay, let me quickly discuss about what is deployment slots. Okay, so we call it as a blue-green deployment slots. The advantage of having this particular deployment slot is, let's say I have a web application now. Okay, so this is a web application. Okay, if I wanted to add a new features into my web app, so I cannot do it straight away, right? So first I need to test them, and I need to host them, and then I need to swap it to my production environment. Okay, this activity we can achieve it, okay, using this particular deployment groups. Okay, let's say, okay, to make you more understand, I have an e-commerce website. Okay, let's say I'll take a amazon.com. Okay, so for amazon.com, okay, so for every day, for every week, or maybe every festival season, okay, they will be keep changing the new products, and they will be keep updating the new features, right? So if you wanted to test them, okay, we need to have a some separate non-prod environment, something, right? So that, okay, we can create a different slot here. Okay, let's say here currently I'm having a production slot. So here I can create a one more slot, and I can just clone my existing slot into this particular another slot. Let's say, for example, here I'll create a one more slot. I'll just name it as non-prod. And when I create a one more slot, okay, it is also going to create a one more web app with a name called test same web app name. And in addition, okay, it will give you non-prod dot azure websites.net. And I wanted to clone the settings from this particular web app. I'll say add it. So now what will happen is whatever the code and whatever the settings and everything I had in my production, okay, will be cloned into the another slot. And whenever you wanted to make some changes, right, first thing what you can do is, okay, you can deploy this particular changes into your non-prod slot, and you can perform the testing. And once it is working fine, you can come back and swap it here. That means, okay, when you swap it, whatever the changes you made on your non-prod will be swapped to your production environment, so that, okay, we can have a very minimal downtime. Okay, so let me close it here for now. And at this moment, my application is running on this particular production. Okay, so this is the URL, right? So now let me go to my this particular non-prod slot. So here you could see it has created a separate app service slot. Okay, so when you wanted to browse it, okay, so it is also having a separate URL called non-prod, and this particular slot has an empty web app. Okay, so this is an empty website. Now let me swap these changes to the non-prod and how it looks like. So to do that, okay, I'll come back here and I just simply say swap it here. So I'm swapping from a prod to the non-prod. Okay, so let's say I'll swap it. I'll click on swap. Now the changes, whatever the code and everything what I have from my prod is moving to the non-prod environment. So once it is done, when I come back and do refresh here, this particular web page will be moved to the non-prod, and the prod one will be coming as a empty like this. So let's see this one. So here you could see it is performing the swap between the non-prod and production. If I do refresh, can you see? I'm able to see that same website on a non-prod. But if I go to the production, okay, so I will be having a empty website because I made a swap. Okay, so whatever the changes I have on my prod, I just move it to the non-prod environment. Okay, so if I do refresh here, okay, so here you could see my complete website is on non-prod now. So let's say, for example, if at all if I wanted to add some features into my non-prod environment, I can perform those changes. Okay, so likewise, okay, I made some deployments now, right? So likewise, okay, I can deploy something, and once they are done, again I can come back here. I can just simply say swap it. Now this time, okay, what I will be doing is I'll be swapping from non-prod to the prod one. I'll just simply say swap it. So now if I go back here, so this particular non-prod will be coming as an empty, and the prod one will be coming as a previous website. If you made any changes, okay, those changes will be coming into your prod environment. Let me do refresh here. Can you see my website is back here non-prod, and within an prod within a non-prod, okay, I have a normal dummy web app. So that is the advantage of having this deployment slots. So whenever you wanted to make some changes into your prod environment, instead of you doing it in a directly in a non-prod environment, what you can do is you can make those changes into the non-prod environment and you can test it. And once they are working good, you can just simply swap them into the prod environment. So that by having this particular blue-green deployment slots, we can have a very minimal downtime for making any changes. You do not need to require any downtime for your web app. Okay, so that is about the deployment slots, and we have a deployment center. So whereas whenever if you wanted to deploy something on top of your web app, okay, so let's say your code is present on the somewhere in these particular repositories. Let's say if your code is present on the GitHub, and if you wanted to deploy some code directly from your GitHub to your web app, okay, you can just go with this particular deployment center. Okay, deploy and build code from your preferred source and build provider. And when you come back to the configuration, okay, so you'll be able to see the complete details of your web app. Okay, and here under the configuration, you could see the connection strings. Okay, application settings for the connection to your application insights. So here we are using the application insight as a monitoring solution, right? So here you could see application insights key. So these are the keys, okay, which they are added so that application insights will capture the logs of your web app and it will present the monitoring. Okay, we'll discuss about that also in a bit. And before that, okay, I wanted to discuss about this particular concept called authentication. Let's say at this moment, okay, I was able to access this website, okay, without having any authentication, right? Okay, even if I go to incognito window and if I open this, okay, I'm able to access the website. And let's say if you have a requirement, whereas you wanted to restrict this particular access to the only internal employees. That means people who are part of your Active Directory. So for them only this particular website to be accessible. Okay, you wanted to put some authentication for this. So for that, okay, you can go with this particular authentication feature. So this is the feature. Let's say for example, okay, sometimes, okay, let me put it this way. Okay, we have a application. Okay, let's say this is an application. It's an internal application. Okay, and this application will be used by the marketing team. Let's say for example, okay, whenever marketing team goes to the clients, okay, they need to show this particular app. Okay, so this app consists of your company products, okay, and their features. And this app should not be accessible for the external users. It has to be accessible for the internal users from the internet. Okay, for that we can enable this particular authentication. Okay, even your company employee goes to market, and when you log in using internet to this app, first it will ask for the authentication, and once it is authenticated, then and only he will be able to access the website, and it will be not allowed to access for the external users. So here, okay, for authentication I can say add authentication here. So when I click on add identity provider, so here I could see the list of identity providers. So I have a Microsoft, I have a Facebook, I have a Google, I have a Twitter, I have something called OpenID Connect also. So this is something like, when you go to the Udemy or something. Okay, so let me go to the udemy.com. So when you go to any one of kind of udemy.com or something, and when you click on login here, right? So apart from your Gmail, okay, they will also give you continue with the Facebook, continue with the Google, continue with app. That means, okay, so they're authenticating your account, okay, with additional, Facebook account or a Google account or a Twitter accounts also. Okay, so likewise, okay, here also for your web app, if you wanted to authenticate using the different authentication methods, you can do that. So for now, I'll go with the Microsoft here. And when you go with the Microsoft, okay, it will ask you to create a app service. That is service principal, what we discussed as part of the Active Directory. Okay, I'm going with the rest of the details as a default. And within the permissions, okay, so I will be providing the read permission here. I'll say add it. So this I was able to do it because I'm having a global administrative privileges on the Active Directory. If you do not have a global administrative privileges, you'll be not able to do it. So now if you see an authentication, I have a identity provider called Microsoft. And whenever any user try to log into this website now, it will ask you for the authentication. Let me try this now. I'll copy this URL. I'll close this window. I'll open a new window. I'll paste it. And as soon as I click on enter, the first and foremost thing it will ask you to log in. Can you see? It is asking for the login. So let me try to give my account. So because okay, this account is already part of my Active Directory. So okay, I'll say yes. And again, it is asking for the additional authentication. Okay, so let me get the OTP here. Just a second, I'll get my mobile. Yeah. So here is an account. So which is 881125. Okay, permission request. Okay, accept it. And now once it is done with an authentication, then and only you will be able to access the website. So this is how we can enable the authentication also for your web app. Okay, so whenever you wanted to allow any valid users, okay, who are part of your organization, they can enable this particular active directory authentication. If a users okay accessing from outside network, so they have to authenticate your organization credentials. If not, okay, so you'll be not able to access the website. So that is the advantage of having this particular authentication method. Okay, so let me quickly talk about this particular application insights now, which is very important, guys. So whenever you create any web apps, right? Okay, so for performing the monitoring, we use the application insights. So by default, okay, when we're creating a web app, okay, we have chosen that create a app service plan and application insights, right? So that is the reason. Okay, so it has all the configuration of related your application insights. So here you could see, so under this particular application settings, we have the application insight related keys and everything. We'll show you that now. Let me try to duplicate this window. I'll go back to the application insights now. Let me go to the application insights. For the application monitoring, we use the application insights, by the way. Okay, so here you could see, if you wanted to see the application insight data, click on it. It will route to the application insight page, and this is the instrumentation key. So here is the instrumentation key that you have. If you wanted to see it, okay, which is starting from a B9F7. Here you could see B9F7. Okay, so these are the keys. Okay, so here you could see these are the keys. Okay, they will be keeping here for the connectivity. Okay, this is the connection string. Okay, here you could see the instrumentation connection string. Okay, here you could see. So using these particular keys, okay, we are establishing the connection from our web app to your application insights, okay, to capture the data and perform the visualization. Okay, and here you could see some additional agents and which authentication from your web app to your application insights. Okay, and now, so within this application insights, if you wanted to get a default dashboard, you can click on this particular application dashboard. So when you click on it, okay, it will give the complete clear dashboard, okay, of your website. Okay, let me click on this. I'm just clicking on this particular application dashboard, and it is generating a sample dashboard now. And here you could see a sample dashboard. Okay, that is called test2413 is my web app name and a dashboard. And this is the application related dashboard. Okay, you don't need to create anything. By default, application insight will give a default dashboards. If you wanted to use them, you can go ahead and use them. And here you could see, okay, it will clearly show you unique sessions and the users. Okay, if there are any failed requests, okay, it will show you the count. If there are any server response time, okay, it will show you average page load time. Okay, when I access the website, how much time it is taking for loading the time, everything it will give. Availability of your web application and the rest of the stuff. Okay, available memory, everything it will give. Okay, let me come back to my application insights. So with from application insights also, you can just investigate something. Okay, so you can create application map. Okay, so this is to create an application map. Okay, so you can see how the traffic is routing, and we can also see smart detection, so which is available. Okay, we need to enable all these things, and you can also do live metrics. Let's say when you try to, when the users are logging, okay, it will give you the incoming request and how much duration it is having, everything it will give. Okay, if you wanted to get started with the live metrics, you can go through the document. Okay, it will clearly show you how we can do this. Okay, so this is how, okay, how it shows, okay, the live metrics. Okay, similarly, we can check for the availability of your web app, okay, by having this particular availability feature, and overall, okay, it is showing currently as a average. And if you wanted to see certain payload request for your web app, you can come back and debug also, and you can check the performance of your web app also, and the overall performance currently it is green. If there are any errors or any something issues, you can come back and start debugging. Okay, so this is pretty much about the application insights, and by default, okay, when you go to the application insights dashboard, so by default, okay, it will give the default metrics. Okay, so this is about the authentication and application insights, and let me quickly talk about backups here. So let's say I have a web app. Now I need to schedule a backup to my web app. Okay, so let's say if I'm uploading some content and okay, if any users and everything, any important data is I'm storing here. I need to take a backup of my web app. So for that, okay, here I can choose this particular backup feature. So here I can say, let's see. Okay, sorry, not the snapshots, but I need to go to the backup. So let me click on configure the backup. So here the web app backup will be stored under storage accounts. Okay, so here I need to choose my storage account. Okay, let me select the storage account here. And this is the storage account currently I have. Let's choose this one. And let me create a one container here, and I'll just name it as web backup. Okay, I'll say create. So now I have created a container called web backup, and I'll select it. And if you see here, for taking a backup of my application, I'm choosing the storage account and I have chosen this particular container. Okay, so if you wanted to see the backup schedule, okay, so here you could see. So backup for every 1 day or maybe every 1 hour. So this backup will be applicable based on the size what you have chosen. So for my web app, right? So let's say if I go to the home page, if I go to my web app, so this is the test2413 is my web app, right? So if I go to my app service plan, so under my app service plan, what is the plan I have? That is S1. Okay, if I go to the scale up, okay, if I go to the production for the S1, okay, I can take a backup of daily 10 times only. Okay, so above that, if you try to take a backup, it will throw you the error. Okay, so here let's say even if I keep 2, okay, for every hour, for every 2 hours, okay, for every 2 hours, if I try to take a backup, how many times it will take a backup? 12 times it will take a backup. But according to my app service plan, I'm allowed to take a backup of only 10 times. Okay, it will not allow you. So let me keep it as a 3. For every 3 hours, it will start taking a backup. That means, okay, in a day, it will take a 7 times a backup. That's fine. So you can choose the default timings, and the retention period, you can keep it as 30 days. And you can say, keep at least 1 backup. And if you have any database also, and if you want to take a backup of your database also, you can just configure from here. So since I do not have any databases, okay, it is not having no supported connection string. Let's say save it. So now this entire web app related backup will be configured under this storage account. I just schedule it and I can just simply say backup now. So fail to submit the backup request. So backup is currently in progress. You cannot schedule the another one right now. Okay. So here you could see in the bottom. So whatever the backup that I have scheduled, which is in progress now here. Let me click on it here. So this is the one which is in progress. If you wanted to validate it, let me go to my storage account, which I have chosen. I'll go to the storage account. So this is my storage account. And here, so I'll go to the containers. So I have created a container called web app, right? And here can you see, I'm able to get the logs. Okay, so which, okay, these are all storing under the blob because okay, they're kind of, zip files or maybe log files or XML files. Okay, so it has the web app name, that is test2413 is my web app name, and it is having a date. 2021 is the year, and 11th is the month, and the third is the today's date, and this is the web app timing, that is 517. Okay, and here you could see the sizes and when it is taken the backup. So those backup items are started, taking a backup and storing it in my storage account. So here you could see which is still in progress. So that is how we can, take a backup of your web app also. And this rest of the steps, okay, so whatever you see here on the left hand side, okay, let me quickly walk you through them. So let me come back from my overview page. Okay, so here you could see that some of the default metrics, okay, data in, data out of your web app, and how many requests are coming and what is the response time I'm getting from my web app. The same thing you can see it in a application insights also. Okay, so this we have seen, and under this, okay, so we have this identity. Okay, so we'll talk about this later. So when you go with the user identity or system identity, so this is a separate topic related to Active Directory only. I will discuss it later. And we have seen backup, and we have seen custom domains. Just a second. Yeah, so if you wanted to configure any custom domains, okay, just now I have shown you, right, the custom domains of this one. So for your website, if you do not want to have a this URL, okay, we can create a separate URL and we can just route it to here. And to configure this, okay, you need to follow this particular. Okay, so procedures. Okay, how we can configure custom domains and assign it. Okay, you can go to this document. So map an existing custom DNS name to Azure App Service. Okay, so how to create a CNAME record and everything, you can go here. Okay, so first they are increasing the app service plan because this app service is supported only with the premium ones, not the free ones. Okay, so here, okay, so when you go to the custom domains, okay, you need to give the IP and the custom domain name. So this domains, okay, you need to create either in GoDaddy or somewhere. You need to have a valid domain. So there you need to go out and exchange this particular data or information. Then it will be you will be able to validate it to you. Okay, so here they have taken a website called condoser.com. So this, okay, they are just replaced it with this particular details. Just go through it how we can update a custom domain. Okay, you can create a domain here. Okay, you can just specify the domain name. Let's say the domain name, whatever I see it, like abcd.com. Okay, and when you do validate, okay, you need to provide this particular some of the CNAME details and rest of the stuff. Okay, that you need to do with the domain provider. And these are related to certain SSL settings. Okay, so if you wanted to buy a certificate from here, you can buy a certificate from the Microsoft also. Okay, app service certificate allows you to purchase and manage SSL certificate within a minute. Okay, some of keys features includes, okay, so what are all which these are all included, you could see here. If you wanted to see, okay, buy a app service certificate, you can go here and you can start purchasing the certificate also for your web app. Okay, so here, okay, you're creating a certificate here. Okay, so which is costing you this much. Okay, so for your web app, okay, whatever the CNAME, okay, domain name, okay, so host name, okay, let's say for example if I take abcd.com. Okay, so for that abcd.com, I can generate a domain name, I can give the certificate name, and which is costing you this much. Okay, that means, okay, almost $70 per year. Okay, wildcard certificate is nothing but let's say some of these certificates you see a wildcard certificate. Wildcard certificate is nothing but, okay, I'll show you here. Let's say if I have a Google, okay, what they will do is, okay, they'll keep the star dot google.com. Okay, this is called wildcard certificate. So at the end, it should be having only Google, and before that, whatever you have, okay, it will accept it. That is called wildcard certificate. Okay, I'll show you some of these things here. Let's see if I go to this certificate. Okay, so let me see the certificate here. Can you see this Udemy? Okay, this certificate is a wildcard certificate. So before udemy.com, whatever the thing you have, it will accept it. Okay, and every certificate validity also you could see, and the certificate provider, okay, they have taken it from the DigiCert. Okay, similarly, if you wanted to see for the Microsoft, you can go here and you can see the connection site. Here you could hit the certificate, and here you could see the certificate is issued only for the portal.azure.com, and it's a Microsoft certificate and issued on a September 23rd and valid for the September 23rd, 2022. So likewise, okay, so let's me try to see for the web app. So here I have a web app also have one certificate. Let's see the certificate, and here you could see this is a wildcard certificate. Okay, Azure website.net, and before that, okay, whatever the name I can have like this. Okay, considering this example, so at the end name should be anything, that is Azure website.net, and before that it should be star. That means, okay, this name could be anything and it will be valid. So that is called a wildcard certificate. Okay, so here you could see how we can purchase a wildcard certificate. But when you go with the wildcard certificate, so here you could keep like star.abcd.com. Okay, and you can just create it here, and you need to pay this particular amount to the Microsoft. And this is something how we can buy the certificate from the for your web apps. And I think this is some of the settings which are in a still preview mode. And this is something like a networking. So whenever you wanted to deploy your web app into a specific network, okay, in a dedicated network, that is app service environment, you can go with this. Okay, you can see, okay, inbound traffic, web app, and outbound traffic. Okay, how the traffic should be coming and everything you can just manage. And this is we have seen how to scale up and scale out your app service plan. Scale up is nothing but increasing your app service. Scale up is nothing but doing it manual. Remember this, guys. Okay, these two differentiations are very important. Scale up is nothing but you going and changing the app service environment manually. Okay, so earlier I had a F1, right? That is free one. Now later I went and change it to the S1, that is production one. That is scale up. And scale out is nothing but okay, kind of automating it. So whenever your web app reaching certain certain CPU threshold, by default, okay, your app service plan will be changing. Okay, how many instances has to be changed and everything. Okay, here you can say custom auto scale. Okay, so here, okay, you can just specify the details, how many instances has to be created and everything. You could see, just explore this option. And if at all, if you wanted to monitor certain web jobs, you can go here. And this is something related to the additional messaging services. Okay, push means, okay, if you wanted to configure certain alert, certain messages for your web app functionality, you can go with this. These are something related to the developer activities. Not, let's not bother about this one. This is something related to the databases. And we have seen app service plan, and you could see here we have seen what is the app service plan. And here you could see quota also. And if you want to change your app service plan also, you can go ahead and do that. We can also clone your app, the similar app you can create and the related stuff. And this is for that mostly for the developer related activities. Let's not discuss about this now. And setting up the monitoring, we know most of this stuff. If you wanted to create certain alerts for a web app, you can go to the alerts and you can just simply say create alerts. And here scope will be chosen by default as your web app. And when you go to the conditions, you could see the some kind of conditions. Okay, so if you face any 400 error or 300 error, okay, so maybe you should be getting an alert. So those kind of things, okay, you can just go ahead and do it. If you wanted to see, I have a 2 to 3 pages. If somebody deleted, somebody created, okay, somebody create a web backup, okay, everything will be alerted. So those kind of alerts, okay, you can go ahead and create. If you wanted to see additional metrics from here, you can go to the metrics tab. Here you could see the available metrics. And if you have any issues, okay, you can go ahead and request a support request with the Microsoft. And you could see the resource health also. Okay, so this is on a high level, okay, pretty much about the web app. So I wanted you guys, okay, create a sample web app, host a sample application. It could be a .js or it could be ASP.NET whatsoever. And once you host a website, okay, try to create a deployment slots. Okay, so this is a deployment slots. Okay, try to swap it and later try to enable the authentication. And when you enable the authentication, okay, so when you try to access the website, okay, it has to ask you for the active directory credentials. Okay, try to see how to, okay, what are the metrics that we have on application insights, how we can see it, what type of metrics, okay, we'll be monitoring. Just try to remember the metrics, okay, what we have. And similarly, you can go ahead and see how we can enable the backup. So those things, okay, just take it as a lab for today. And I think we're good with the web app. And from tomorrow, I'm going to discuss about the a few more networking concepts like a load balancer and application gateway. Okay, with that, I'm stopping my recording here.